Welcome to the podcast by Women for Women, the Audaci-Tea. We are so happy to have you here, and we want to give a very special shout out to our newest Tea VIP members on Patreon. Shout out to Ellie, Christy, and Mary. Woo!
Yeah. Woo!
Thank you so much, y'all. We so appreciate your continued support. We keep getting more and more members just in general, and we absolutely love to see it. Every time I go into our community on Patreon, my heart feels so warm and fuzzy.
Same.
I love seeing everybody in there just chatting, and people are offering advice to each other and talking about their past experiences. I just love to see it. And I just want to say that this is probably, with the impeding TikTok ban, it's probably going to be the best place to keep in touch with us. It's sort of our smallest community right now. I think, Sovereign, you would agree.
Yes.
It's really hard to keep up with, hundreds of comments on our YouTube and TikTok channels, but we love having this little space where we can sort of get to everybody and read every comment and respond to everybody for now. So thanks, y'all, for being in there, for all of your contributions. And if you haven't yet, please join. There's free membership. All of our paywalled content does become public eventually. So everything is available. We're not trying to gatekeep the content too much, but we do want to make the membership, worth something. So if you like to get your content early, or if you're just especially, hungry for this kind of content right now, we love to bring you some exclusive things, some early things. So please go over there and join. We would love to have you. And before we get into our main segment today, which is how to spot green flags in men, or just green flags in men in general, we would like to spill some tea, as we always do. First and foremost, I think we just all wanted to say something that's been a very pressing topic for the past week. We just want to say that our hearts go out to all of those affected by the California wildfires. I have some dear friends that had to evacuate, that had to leave a bunch of stuff behind. I have a friend, all of whose possessions burned down in that fire. So our hearts just go out to everybody. I cannot imagine something like that happening. And while it may seem like it's affecting like the rich areas or whatever, I know a lot of people are celebrating. Just know that just because somebody lives in Malibu or a nice area does not mean that they're necessarily paying that much money. Some people were just very lucky. Some people were not even living in those rich areas, and we're still affected by the fires and all the damage and everything. So a lot of people's jobs are gone. So before we celebrate too much, let's just remember that a lot of small businesses burnt down, a lot of places for people to work, including some of those wealthy homes. Like, there's an economy that goes with all of that. So let's just be empathetic. Let's not celebrate something just because it seems cool at first.
Yeah, California accounts for it's the number one contributor for our GDP, and I think Texas is number 2 in terms of state economies. So
yeah,
I know some people in Texas are like, haha, blue state, mismanagement, cause wildfires, DEI hires.
That's horrible.
It's so demonic in my opinion, because that's still this is our country. California is still America. It's not its own country.
Right.
Those are our people, and they're suffering, and they lost their house in just a matter of minutes. And you literally, I can't even comprehend something like that happening. You just have your house one day and it's gone the next, and
I know
all your belongings and your pets. Oh my God, some people, they were just at work or something, and then they got the notification to flee, and they were like, well, what if I can't make it because my cat, I'm trying to go get to my cat or my dog that's over there, and well, they're gonna set up roadblocks, and then they can't you can't
you
go
had
in
to
there
choose
and
between
you literally had to choose between your
worst
own
nightmare.
life.
Worst nightmare.
Yeah, so that really sucks for them. And I was reading tweet after tweet of all these people's stories of whenever they were trying to get to their homes to grab their necessities, because most people have a go bag, and if you live in a disaster area we do here in Houston, most people have what's called a go bag, and it has your passport, your birth certificate, just the ways of identification, and then some cash maybe, or your medicines, just things that you might need when you're in a hurry to flee somewhere. Would it be flood or a hurricane or natural disaster? So I imagine some people in California would have had that too, but then they were stuck at work, and then when they tried to go back to get that said bag, they had interruptions because maybe the police started blocking off areas that were affected, or it was already just gone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That and like you can't really keep that kind of stuff in your car either.
Right.
So it's like
You can't.
just a catch-22. It's terrible. And you know, it's just very rich coming from like people in Texas too making fun of it. Like
I was just about
as
to
if
say,
your
what?
shit's not mismanaged. Like, come on.
And
I know.
and
Power grid.
and I'm not trying to
Yeah.
be funny, but like hurricanes and all that stuff,
Right.
like anything can happen to anybody, especially if you're on the coast like that. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Or
don't. I
heat,
really
like-
don't understand that.
No,
Yeah, it's just so sad because, like, again, like those are our sisters and brothers up there. Like we're all Americans at the end of the day. Like we are in this shit together, whether y'all realize it or not.
I completely
So
agree.
it behooves
But
me.
some people don't think that, which is what's crazy. Regardless of the fact that it's true, some people just don't think that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan is sending some notes in the Slack for news about things that are occurring right now in the wildfires, and one of them is just about this outrageous price gouging that's going on over there. So this one says,
That's horrible.
LA wildfire evacuees face obscene price gouging as landlord lists house for $17,000 a month, then demands $30,000. Quote, you need to figure out how to adjust your price consistent with the law. And if that means departing from your algorithm, depart from your algorithm. Oh,
my
also,
God.
like there
Which
was
is illegal, by the way. There's numbers you can call to report this. It's illegal.
Yes. So there was a paper published not too long ago of these corporate landlords that got busted for using an algorithm to price rent. So just like figuring out, you know, what other places are charging and then all but colluding in person to charge about the same.
Oh yeah, that's like a long.
Really?
That's what
I
they've
thought that's
been
what they did.
doing.
I
Yeah.
thought that's what all landlords did.
No, so apparently things like that are considered illegal because it disrupts proper competition from, you know, housing. So what you would do in that situation is what we call game theory in economics, or it's just basically it's a game of strategy where you try to predict what this person is going to do first or going to do next, and then you move accordingly.
And they actually busted airlines for doing this first. This is why like airline tickets got really expensive.
So it's essentially a mathematical model that economists use to analyze strategic interactions between decision makers. It's a tool that helps economists understand how the choices of multiple participants influence the outcome of a situation. Game theory can help economists model complex interactions such as pricing strategies. People in marketing do this too all the time, and competitive behaviors, and as well as negotiations. So there's a thing called like first mover's advantage, which is basically kind of what EVs are. So Elon Musk's Tesla was the first in the game to have this car of its type. So by moving first, other car models were able to follow suit because they realized how popular they were, and they realized like they could also just take a Tesla, for example, and disassemble it, and then kind of reverse engineer their own version of it. And then Tesla is able to kind of stay in this brand as being the first ones in the game doing this, and so they had that advantage. Basically, you would benefit either way. So even if you were the first to do it, it comes with its own pros and cons, but then even if you were the second one to do it, you had less risk to assess on.
Yeah, and I think that's the first management company that started doing this was actually from Washington. And they sort of like copyrighted some software that was basically kind of doing this. Like you look around at rents, like every day they would basically call and like check the rents around their area and then try to price their rent as close to or like a little bit higher. And then basically that led to rents increasing a lot because it was like every week, I don't know, but they would do these like market comps.
No, yeah, that tracks in ways that we have kind of just an oligarchy.
Yep.
And everything is kind of fair game at this point. Even measures that were meant to protect us, like the FTC and things like consumer protection, I feel like they don't even care anymore because everything is just so overwhelmingly monopolistic, and it almost feels defeating to try to stand up against. It's like David versus the Goliath.
Absolutely. Speaking of horribly capitalistic and just living in hell and all that, have you all, well, I know you have, seen the new robots that they're rolling out, the new AI-powered, robots. They could be used for anything, technically. But, wink, wink. They can also be your girlfriend. Good news. This shit is so disturbing. Like, who is buying? I'm sorry. We're gonna link the videos
Oh my God.
in the description, and please tell me who's buying these. To what? Answer phones in an office? Like, what are they going to do with these dolls?
There should be a list of all the buyers. I will be so curious to know.
A master list. Absolutely. A wall of shame.
No, it's so funny because it's just the way you said it. Like, it can be used for anything. A personal assistant.
Right.
Somebody who can cook your meals. Somebody who can rake your leaves. But we already know what
But we already know. Exactly. Oh, there's definitely like a spoof. There's a SNL skit in there somewhere. The commercial for these dolls. It's exactly how it would go.
They look so dead inside already. Like they've seen too much. Or like somebody already laced their drink with something. Like it's so...
They look pre-drugged for sure.
Definitely.
For sure.
Can you imagine how they're going to look after just 2 weeks
oh my God,
of
stop,
dealing
Sovereign.
with...
No. I don't even want to go there. And this is, it makes it kind of hard because I used to be a let them eat cake with this kind of girly. And at this point, seeing just the fact that like these robots are modeled to look like women just makes me sick. Like I no longer want men to have access to them. Like,
I know.
Even if it keeps them out of the streets, the robots are starting to feel more like sisters to me, just seeing them so miserable and just,
I know exactly what you mean. Oh my God.
Oh, I feel
Women are
terrible.
over here humanizing these things, whereas men are dehumanizing these things.
Absolutely. That's the difference.
What a disgusting intersection where we find ourselves at.
Did you know though, there's one company that can make them look like certain celebrities?
It's this company. They said you can give them a picture of anybody. Not just celebrities. What? They said you could give us a picture of anybody and we can
illegal.
Make obviously.
Why is this illegal?
Obviously it should be
Can
illegal.
you imagine if some stalker you had said, I want my sex doll to look like Lisa, the YV edit?
I would go John Wick. I will find you and I will end you. Oh my God. Nothing has actually ever pissed me off more to think about. I will travel to the ends of the world. I will use anything at my disposal.
Did y'all ever watch Desperate Housewives?
No.
Oh my God.
I just know I'm missing out.
There was an episode of one of the characters, Bree Vandekamp, and she had this stalker pharmacist guy who she dated, but then she realized he was a psycho. Mm-hmm. And once they found out that he was responsible for her husband's death, they raided his house and they found a sex doll or whatever that looked exactly like her. The same hairstyle, the outfit. He had been stealing her underwear and put it on the towel. It was the funniest shit.
Probably where they got
ever.
the inspiration from.
Oh my! I know. That's what it just made me think of when y'all were just saying that. It just literally made me. But that episode was like fucking hilarious. It's like a drama comedy, but it was funny.
And it's just. Shit. Now we have the technology to do so.
I
and
know.
the manufacturing capabilities.
And they're over here,
chains.
They're over here talking about how easy it is to change out the face on it and stuff. Like,
what?
Ew.
It is so creepy. Like, go watch the videos.
That's
we'll
so
link
dystopian.
them. We need the list.
We
Absolutely.
need the list. We
Absolutely.
Need it.
And the government needs to do something about that whole, like, give us a picture of anybody. What the fuck?
That's scary.
I know there's like some out there that specialize in making dolls of children.
I'm not shocked, but oh my God, who would buy?
Men.
No. I'm saying who would buy it? Like there would have to be like an underground like VIP kind of thing. Because who would buy that like outright?
They're publicly available just
face.
Because their logic is that like, oh, it prevents them from acting on a real child. And it's like, no, wait.
How? I don't think so.
How?
What? I feel like if anything, it's normalizing it.
Yeah.
So
how
it's like
does it
practice.
prevent? Yeah, exactly. It makes it more like easy to do in the end. Like,
because you got to think about the mindset of a person that would buy a child sex doll. If they would do that, in my mind, they're deranged enough to like want the actual like real thing. You know what I mean? Like if your mind is that deranged, I wouldn't
that
think
instead of like furthering yourself from that, you're like making yourself closer.
It's going to draw yourself closer. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Who would even agree to that? Like who would even agree to make that?
Oh, well.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
I just I'm over it.
So yeah, that's my tea, and I'm so scared for the future. The only comforting thing to me about this whole thing is that most broke, dusty men won't be able to afford one. Because they're going to be like $150K.
I know, right?
$175,000.
$175,000.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
He put it in the Slack just now.
Oh, so they have that purposely for a certain class of people, for sure.
I don't
That's
know.
crazy because the guys who can afford that don't even need it. But the ones who probably would need it, I'm just saying, just go with me.
Right.
Are the ones who can't afford it. Like, that's kind of backwards. Like the dusty men that I would want to have, I'm like, I want these dusty men to have one. I don't mind. As long as it means you're leaving us alone, right?
Well, think about a man like Elon Musk. He's a billionaire, but literally no woman wants him. Like, he tried to ask out a model the other day or something, and he got shut down.
Yeah. He will probably be the first to step out with one, Elon.
The funny thing is I agree with that. And I don't even think he would be ashamed of it.
No.
Like he would
I don't think he's socially aware.
It'll be a
to be
human
ashamed of
Tesla
anything.
to him. It is like, oh, look at my new thing. I could see him. He's a weirdo. I thought I liked him at first.
We all thought we did, because I remember like hearing about him in like middle school or like high school, where he was launching like SpaceX as its like brand new thing, and the goal was to colonize Mars and send humanity to Mars. And I thought that was so cool, because I come from a family of engineers and they love talking about that kind of stuff, and they love, like, I was shown space videos and stuff like that all my life, and I got to watch like a couple launches at the stadium, because sometimes in Texas, if there's like a launch somewhere, they'll live broadcast it, but show the live broadcast at like football stadiums on like those big screens, so you can reserve tickets and watch like with a bunch of strangers. It's actually kind of cool. But yeah, I remember hearing stuff like that, and then I thought, wow, like there's actually a billionaire who's decent enough that like their vanity project would just to be furthering humanity and saving us from ourselves or whatever. And like I thought that was very Batman, but no.
I know, right?
But now that we know, and looking back, like I cringe at myself sometimes, because for one of my classes in college, the teacher for like English 101 class that we all had to take, no matter what your degree was for, you were mandatory required to take one semester of like a writing 101 class. And so yeah, like I made our class write about colonizing Mars as like a topic. So she put on the board a list of things that we were allowed to write about that were not as controversial, and things that we are not allowed to write about, which were like politics, abortion, things that were considered, I guess, taboo or like hard to talk about without heating up the class. So she started a list of stuff on the side that, we could jot down our ideas on about what we could all write about. And one of my ideas that actually gained traction was colonizing Mars. And so I look back and I cringe at that.
Well, that's fine. You didn't know. A lot of us didn't know any better. He wasn't like in the public eye enough.
Right. He wasn't doing a lot of
to expose how much of an idiot he is. Like all that came with like time.
Right.
He exposed himself little by little. And it's like a lot of times when people are silent, like that's, the best that public opinion will be of them.
That's true.
I know. But sometimes I wonder if those kids in our class look back and and think about the time that this one girl who was an Elon fan and what she's doing now.
Right.
The answer is I don't.
And for the record.
Yeah. And I was there whenever he bought Twitter, and I've tried blocking him ever since. And it's actually hard. Like, you cannot block him on X.
Yeah, because he owns it. He's such a troll, dude. I do believe he will be the first to step out with a sex robot. Okay, we got to wrap up the tea time, but I know, Salvin, you had something that you wanted to mention.
Oh, real quick. It was just interesting that I found out P. Diddy and Luigi Mangione. Did I say his name right?
I think you did a great job. Better than
I swear I usually get tongue-tied when I say his name. But apparently they have the same defense team, and they're in the same jail as well. And it was reported...
What a world.
I know. It was in New York. It was reported that the defense team was P. Diddy's first, and then they took on Luigi, and that ever since then they've been showing him all the attention, and apparently Luigi is getting all this special treatment and behind closed doors, and all the inmates like him and all that stuff. And some people were saying, allegedly, that P. Diddy wasn't very happy about that. and that if he keeps getting all this attention and they're like putting him on the back burner, that Luigi may allegedly end up on his hit list. And when I say hit list, I don't mean like, they didn't say that he was trying to take him out. They were just saying like he would be like on his shit list. Like, this is, I don't like this person type. Now, that's just what they said. I don't know how true it was, but I thought it was very interesting. But I do know that the defense team is true and that they're both in the same jail. That's true.
Of course, a narcissist is upset somebody's getting more
Absolutely.
attention.
Absolutely. I wasn't
You should have
shocked to
picked
hear
a different
that.
path in life. What do you mean? If you wanted people to like you, you should have done what he did. I don't know.
I know, at the very least.
What's the problem? Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have been cool.
Also, how effective is, being on his shit list when he's essentially in the same jail? Like,
right.
Oh, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. A lot of one of the major misconceptions that people have is that because you're in jail, stuff can't happen. If you have a name and you got money or you got people who fear you, you can get them to do anything outside of jail and inside of jail. So just because a person is in prison, all they got to do is make a phone call and somebody can tell them, oh, such and such is doing this or this happened, or they can see it on the news or whatever, and they will make a phone call. And that's it. Because believe it or not, a lot of them don't have. A lot of them have secret cell phones that they're not supposed to have.
Oh, of course.
The COs let them get away. They smuggle stuff in. I mean,
they
not what people think.
From TikTok.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the prison talk.
Yeah, so you'll be surprised at
I guess
what
that's
people
true.
will get you. You'd be surprised, especially somebody like him.
I've never been to prison, so I guess I'm.
Well, I mean.
Or you can get. Oh, you can move stuff.
That.
You can get things. You can get people. People can get got. Whatever. I mean, it depends on. People have loyalty. People will still have loyalty to a person in prison for life. Like you're not getting out, and people will
giving
still
them money.
Yeah, giving you money. They fear you. They know how powerful you are. Like jail don't stop anything except you can't get out. That's the only thing. And even then, sometimes that happens too.
But it's like if people don't like him now, imagine how much less they'll like him if something happens to Luigi.
I know.
All right. Well, thanks for the tea, ladies. I know we have a big segment to cover and a big disclaimer to make before we cover that segment. So let's get into it after this break. And we're back. Let's talk about some green flags in men. But if I may, Gwen has an amazing list, first of all, that I'm sure we will be posting to our blog. But before we get too far down that list, I just want to make a big disclaimer about green flag lists. Because as somebody who's been making content for women on TikTok and YouTube for a little bit of time now, I've made several videos talking about, green flags or things that have made me comfortable with like my husband or other men before. And there's just never any shortage of women in the comments that will say, oh, sure, I had that exact same experience. The man did this, 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 and this, and he still did me dirty. In the end, still something happened. In the end, he still cheated. He still lied. He still hurt me, etc. So I just want to give that as the preface, right? This is a general green flag list for men, all the men in your life, not just romantic partnerships. I do think this should apply for the most part to any man that you choose to be involved with beyond your professional obligations. And as we go through it, just remember that men can fake all of this, that men can lie to you for weeks, months, years, that the most important thing about this list too is that do not stop at one green flag and then you stop vetting their behavior altogether. Or like you hold on to that green flag as if it's, the defining feature of his character. Meanwhile, he's doing other things that are red flags. Please don't do that. So many young women will do that. And they'll be like, no, but he says he's a feminist. And it's like, no, he's still doing all this other stuff. He still is like messaging other women. He's still, to try and get into their pants. He still is very prone to cheating on you and exposing your health and putting you at risk in all sorts of ways, or just leeching off of you. Like there's just so many things that men can do, and women are just too forgiving with the one green flag that they hold on to for dear life. Yes. So please don't do that. And just to drive this point home, more than 90% of men will not even have one of these green flags. And I wish I wish I was joking, and I'm not. Most men will have 0 of these green flags, or they will be just for show. So you need to keep that in mind. This man is rare. The green flag man is rare, and you're not just going to find him around every corner. I just have to say that before we get into this, because this is the reason that I've sort of started not liking as much addressing this kind of topic, like talking about green flags, because for every green flag, there's a story of a man who did that and a woman who believed him, and then she regretted it. So,
Right.
Sovereign, I know you had some disclaimers to add too.
No, you pretty much said it all. There are a lot of women who will see one green flag and hang on to it for their life, and ignore all the other stuff. And the most important thing to pay attention to with any signs that you're seeing, any green flags that you're seeing, is that you have to pay attention to a man's actions and his words. They have to match. He has to be consistent. The moment they don't match and the moment he starts not being consistent anymore, that turns into a red flag. And it's time to go. But yeah, you pretty much hit everything.
Put. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. When I made this list, I tried not to make it bare minimum E. Like,
it's a fantastic list.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Some of these I think describe my own dad and some partners that I've had in my life. And these were just the things that made it all work. And I'm not saying that everything is perfect on my list, but I like to think that it's a more comprehensive list than just like, he respects you or he takes no for an answer. And
Right.
just the bare ass fucking minimum. So I tried, I've already posted like a red flag versus green flag on our Patreon. So you can probably just like read along. I've also kind of made like some amendments to it. So I can repost it back on the Patreon. So that way you have like the amended version. Okay, so green flag. Number 1, he pays for all dates and doesn't hold it over your head or make you pay it back. He understands money and time spent on a good woman or a good date is an investment, not a transaction or a bargain.
Yes, I totally
Absolutely.
agree.
He has to be generous. You put a lot of more work into life than the average man.
Absolutely.
And he should be honored to be in your presence.
I love
Period.
that one.
Green flag number 2, he likes cats, has owned cats, enjoys their company. Stray cats and other animals can trust him or like they approach him just out of nowhere.
Animals are a good judge of character, for sure.
That was in our red flag episode too about cats being a good judge of character on that, because they're a lesson on consent.
Yep.
And I just want to throw in something really quickly. I've been noticing an uptick of videos of guys and their cats, and I can't help but to believe that it's all for show. So if a guy has a cat, you will be able to tell the difference, I think, if he actually enjoys cats. Like he understands them. He knows what certain meows mean and what this meow, you know what I mean? Like he really knows cats versus I'm just going to pick this cat up for a video and try to pick up ladies and try to make myself seem like a good person. Because to me, a lot of them what they've been doing, in my opinion, is coming up with other strategies to make themselves appear to be the different guy, a changed man.
Couldn't
or whatever.
agree more.
But I do agree.
Yeah. And vet whether he actually takes his cat or like his animal. Like that was one of my green flags that I was going to throw in to the end if it didn't get addressed. But has a pet that he takes care of.
Yes.
So many men have cats, dogs. The dog's nails are overgrown. Teeth haven't been cleaned. Flea medicine is not up to date. The dog has ticks probably. The dog has fleas. The dog has worms. This is not good living conditions for an animal. Like you can't just bring an animal into your house and then not do anything for it ever again, but feed and water it and maybe take it on a walk. That is a man who just has a pet animal for show or for control to like take out their little, I don't know, whatever is on, because it is actually hard work taking care of an animal. It's definitely eons easier than a child, but it is like you have to follow up with appointments. You have to keep them on their medicines. You have to know what's wrong with them. Like my dogs have allergies, so I have to give them allergy medicine every day. So if the man is not that level of involved with his pet, be aware. And also be aware that you can catch worms from a pet that is not well taken care of.
Agree. And also like they're picking up on ways that, women are like when women put videos out there about, green flags in men and like they're saying, oh, we love men who have cats. They've learned that. And so they've incorporated that into like their content to try to push that narrative like, oh, I'm a cat guy. And then the cat is just in the corner like a wretched little thing just
Or the cat is always hissing at
terrible.
them or whatever. You can just tell. Trust me, cat people in general know other cat people. Like, we speak a certain language. So you would be able to tell if you got around him if he's really into his cats or not, if he has them.
And cats are a better telltale than dogs in my experience too, because
I agree.
dogs are too loyal, like they will still wag their tail at somebody who abuses them, unfortunately. But cats, no, they just won't fuck with you.
They really won't. They will hiss at you. They will scratch you. They will hide from you. You will be able to tell if a cat don't fuck with somebody. Like, you'll be able to tell quick.
And so green flag number 3, his friends are a decent mix of men and women, many of whom are in long-term relationships themselves or even married. Usually if he is going out, like, he'll go out with his friends that are in their own relationships or like they're married, and you can trust that like they're probably just doing what they say they're doing, because married couples are kind of boring that way.
Right. He's comfortable in like mixed company. He's comfortable. Like, he doesn't just have like a group of guy friends and they speak their own language and like play one video game.
Play video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like when he has like long-term, like healthy friendships, for sure.
Green flag number 4, maybe this one's kind of a bare minimum one, but a healthy relationship with his mom. I feel like it can't be under or even overstated that a man should have a healthy relationship with his mom.
And healthy doesn't mean like really good, like they talk on the phone for 5 hours every day. Okay, that's not healthy. There's a too much side of it too, right? Sometimes what seems like healthy is actually just the mom being very enmeshed with him.
I agree.
So it's not so much bare minimum, like it's just a nuanced one, right? It's like you have to have a good relationship with your mom, but also how does his mom react to boundaries that he sets? Or how does she react to you?
Yeah, boundaries are a good one. Green flag number 5, he loves to cook and even offers to cook meals for you and your friends. So like not just like meals for 2, but let's say you're having like a girls' night, he'll throw something together in the kitchen and bring it out and surprise you and your girlfriends.
Oh, absolutely. That's
like,
the best when my
asking.
husband does that.
Or like he'll bring out like a little charcuterie board.
Yeah, mine loves to cook for sure.
Yeah, those are always a green flag to me. Like all the men in my life that have ever like loved me, including my dad, they've all been chefs, and I've just been very fortunate that way. So if a man says he can't cook or that's expected of me, like it's just an immediate turnoff.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think that's been like a low-key vetting strategy of mine. Because
absolutely.
if you can't
I get
cook,
it.
like I don't want it.
Yeah.
I hate cooking.
Just even like just any kind of caretaker tasks, but like food is like a big one because it's, there's preparation involved. There's like mental load involved. You have to plan ahead. So that's generally a good sign. Yeah, absolutely.
It takes a lot of effort.
Absolutely. And it's just not like sexy when a man is not good in the kitchen. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's gross. It's childish.
It just dries me up like the Sahara Desert. If a man can't cook or he says like it should all be, it's like a woman's job or something.
Yes.
Like,
oh my God.
No.
Evolution, take him. Let evolution take him, ladies.
Natural
for
selection,
real.
please.
Natural selection.
For real. Green flag number 6, goes out of his way to build trust, maintain it, and make sure you're comfortable or feel safe at all times. He takes your trust in him very seriously.
Huge. Absolutely huge. All of these resonate with me, like as far as how I remember getting like started out dating with my husband. Like he was very, very forward, like couple weeks into us like being more official, just talking. Like we were not officially dating. We were like officially talking. He made that a clarifying point. He was like, at this point, I'm not like entertaining anybody else. Like I've cut everybody else off. My phone's like open to you. If you ever want to like, look at it or check, like you're free to like pick it up if somebody calls, like that kind of stuff. Just not secretive to like encourage that trust.
Yeah.
We were young when we started dating, so he would always like come in and like say hi to my parents before like taking me out, which a lot of guys did not want to do. Things like that just to build like trust in little ways, including with my family so if you're like a young woman dating, like that's something to watch out for. Not a guy who just like pulls up to your house every time and is like, oh, I'm here.
Right.
And then you have to like
and
lie
honks
to
at you.
Yeah, like
oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my the blow the horn thing. Oh my God.
No.
My dad said if a man ever honked at us in
that.
the garage, or like if he parked and he honked, he would just go out there and with a shotgun and just polish it.
Oh my God.
Ladies, do not accept a man
Texas
honking
dads.
at you and not getting out the car and all that. And don't accept a man who will drop you off and take off before they make sure that you're in the house. Oh my
gosh. Yeah.
God. Oh, but real quick, really quick. Number 6 just made me think about that viral video that was going around with that woman who said her boyfriend didn't take her fears seriously about the fires.
Yes.
Did you see that?
I made a video about it.
Oh, wait, I think I saw that.
Yeah.
Just that woman, she was kind of like in her bed and she had the covers pulled over her head and she was saying like how she wanted to leave, but then she couldn't because her husband said that it wasn't that big of a deal.
Another one.
No, that was
Actually,
a different
no,
one.
there
That
was
a different
there
one.
was multiple women, there was
Oh,
multiple
my God.
men that even admitted to not listening to their wife until the last minute. This woman was in the car.
Yeah.
She had been in like a, natural disaster before that had kind of snuck up. And so she has like PTSD about it.
Yeah.
And not only did this man not take her seriously, let her pack the car by herself. She said like 4 animals into that car. She was all ready to go. And then by the time the fires were basically, she said, on their roof, that's when he started slowly, methodically packing his shit around the house.
Wow.
It's not funny. It's just the way that
You gotta floor it. You gotta floor it out of that driveway. That's natural selection. What are you taught? You have to save yourself.
And she said that he told her to just leave him.
Good. She should
I'm
have.
like, she said she
I would've
couldn't.
been like,
she
you can
said,
barbecue.
I can't just leave somebody that I love, which I understood that point too. But I'm like, girl. But yeah, she had a cat, and her cat in the video was co-signing everything she was saying.
It was backing her up. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So
yeah,
Awesome.
you have to, this is why like sometimes being with a man is like a life or death situation, like legitimately. And that's why we do so much of these like vetting type, content, or we talk about these like particular instances. It's not because we're like not decentering men in our content. It's because women need to be aware. There is a women's safety sort of like angle to my content, at least.
Yes,
where
mine too.
I'm not going to decenter men to the point that I'm just not talking about the dangerous and harmful things that they're doing, especially to young women in relationships.
I agree 100%.
So yeah, if you can't trust your man to like be proactive in a life or death situation, that's part of that trust, that Gwen is talking about in that list.
And he's useless. Like,
he's useless.
No question about it. He's absolutely useless.
Oh my God, that's like your one job.
Yeah, they always talk about we're providers and protectors, but then when the time comes, they're not doing anything. A man that doesn't make you feel safe should not be in your life. He shouldn't be in your presence.
Especially
he shouldn't be
in your
midst. Definitely not in your bed. Just he's useless.
No.
What use is he? Like you know what I mean?
Would your
like,
children survive with him?
Right.
Like if that fire was coming and y'all had children, and maybe you were the one that was stuck at work or whatever, like you couldn't get back to the house, could you trust him to get the children out of the damn house in time? Like I always think about the future implications. Like it's so dangerous to share your life with men. Seriously. It really is. And that's why he's got to have like multiple things off this green flag checklist. He's got to you got to vet, because a lot of women find out too late. The fire is at your door. And this man is like packing up his fucking baseball cards.
He absolutely would let those kids burn if they had kids.
But yeah.
No doubt about it. I didn't think it was that serious. I didn't think anything was going to happen. Yeah.
A man went on television and said that. He was like, yeah, I didn't think, he's like, funny thing is, I've lived through a bunch of natural disasters. Like, I don't know why I didn't take this one seriously. But now my cars are gone. My house is gone. My wife kept trying to tell me, like, let's go to a hotel, whatever. But now all of our crap is burnt.
This is why men live longer in marriages.
No, seriously. And he was just admitting it freely, like no guilt, no heartbreak, no nothing. Just like, yeah, I mean, shit. And it's like, oh yeah, I bet she's going to figure it out. I bet she's going to be the one calling all of the agents. Like, you sound useless, sir. You sound fucking useless. What are you there for?
He's
You're
an
just
additional
extra
child.
stress.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dead weight.
An extra gray hair every day. Oh.
Not the extra gray hair every day.
It's so true, though. Stress does cause gray hairs. My sister is barely in her mid-20s, and she has a very stressful job, and she has more gray hair than I do.
I mean, mine too. They're just not coming in very quickly because I feel like I don't got to stress about a man all day, every day.
Yeah, it's also based on genetics, too. Like, I won't exclude that.
Yeah.
Number 7 is decent manners above the standard. And kind of what I mean by that is like, the standard for manners is just like, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And like Southern hospitality and whatnot opens the door for other people. But also, how does he treat the people around you and also like your parents? Like, is this the type of man that would also consider the opinions of like your family when it came to, I don't know, taking you out of the country for like a romantic getaway? Like if your parents would be uncomfortable with that, it would just be a discussion. Or like he includes like your family in certain things too. Like I feel like that's maybe like Southern culture, but to me that just shows good manners too.
I agree.
Yeah, and when they can tell it matters too. Like that obviously doesn't go for everybody, but obviously I'm somebody who respects my dad so much, like to the ends of the earth. And my husband was very, very like aware and in tune with that and like made sure to sort of like have a good relationship with my dad, to like consider things from my parents' perspective, to go out of his way for them. Like if they needed something done and I told him about it, he would like show up to the house like ready to help. Like when my dad was retiling his and my mom's house, like my husband showed up to help, like things like that. I really agree with that. Like they should go above and beyond for you. Also because we got married young, my husband used to like DD me and the girls to like go out because a lot of my friends were still single and like we just wanted to go out and dance and like have fun. And he was like, all right, I'll be in the parking garage. Like call me when you guys are done. Call me if anything, goes down. I'm here to supervise like safety wise too. But he just would never crash it. He would never like come out with us and stuff. I don't know. I just feel like all of that goes sort of above and beyond. Like some men will just get mad at you even for having a girls' night.
Yes, I've been in that situation before. Or you go on a girls' trip and they swear up and down that women are going to be bad, and it's like, no.
Small dick energy.
That's projection.
Small dick energy.
It really is.
And number 8, you are his princess, his treasure, his entire world, and he makes sure you know that. You feel it and returns the energy. So it's also known as like princess treatment. And that's how my dad treated me. And I feel like that's how all women should be treated, because then it sets the standard.
Mm-hmm.
So, like if this man is not treating you as good as like your family treats you, like, well, then what is he good for? Maybe that's also a bare minimum one. But again, I tried to make it not.
No, so many men, especially in this like, girl boss feminism era, so many men try to downplay how much value women bring to their life so that they can do less for you.
Mm-hmm.
And never let them. Never let them, because why are they looking for a relationship then at all?
Free labor.
Seriously.
Exactly.
Literally free labor, like doing his laundry and cooking his meals for him and maybe like ironing his suit before work or some shit that, I wouldn't, even if I had a ring, I don't know.
I know.
Right. No, you shouldn't.
Right.
That's grown adult things that grown adults should do for themselves. That is not why you get married, either one of you. To be like waited on hand and foot. But for a lot of women, all that princess treatment means is like you're being treated like a human being.
Exactly.
Somebody's just not shitting all over you, like, and just making you feel like worthless and useless. And even though you're doing everything for them. Mm-hmm. Princess treatment is rightfully valuing the presence of a woman in your life.
Which all men should do, because without women, you wouldn't be here. But whatever.
Exactly.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Women's value is innate. Even if like she's a girl boss feminist, like she still has a lot of value to bring to the table because she can add to the population. Can you birth a child and nurture it from your body?
Exactly.
Do your man boobs from drinking all that beer, can they suddenly produce milk? I don't think so.
Coors
They're
Light.
just not right in the head. Yeah, it's just Coors Light in there and Bud Light and years worth of trauma, and I don't know where they get off, because like one of the red flags I've added to the list, I guess spoiling the next red flag episode, in case we don't have time to do the red flags after this. But one of the ones that I added was that like if he considers himself the prize.
Automatic red flag.
Ick.
I don't care what other good qualities he may have. I promise you, a man who thinks he's the prize, automatic no. Immediately no.
And this isn't a men who know their worth thing. This is a narcissistic thing.
Right.
This is how to spot a narcissist.
See, a man who knows his worth would never say, I'm the prize.
He's not going to tell you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's the thing.
Exactly.
It's like what Tyrion Lannister said in Game of Thrones when he said, a king doesn't have to tell the world that he's a king, type of deal. That's what that reminds me of. So green flag number 9, healthy boundaries between work life and social. None of this work wife bullshit.
Yeah.
Y'all ever seen those like either Reddit posts or like Twitter where the wife goes to his work outing or like work picnic function and she meets quote unquote the work wife? Ooh, Nah, I'd be throwing hands. I would make this picnic awkward for everyone.
I know all about the work husband, work wife thing.
Yeah, that whole work husband thing too is still so ick.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. Not in my house.
When you,
not under my roof.
When you say work life and social, that kind of makes me think of the guys who are like, especially in the Black community, but they're always like, I'm chasing a bag. I'm out here getting money. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Like I gotta hustle. I gotta hustle. That is so exhausting. And any man who says that, just know he's gonna always put his so-called chasing the bag before you. And there's nothing wrong with. That's why I agree with this one, because you have to have a balance. Like there's healthy boundaries and a balance between that. So if a guy
can be ambitious,
there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. But when he's like always, he kind of reminded me of the Carrie episode of Sex and the City. I was just watching it last night, like the last 2 episodes where she broke up with the guy in Paris. I forgot his name. Did you ever get to the end? Alexander Petrovsky. Yeah, because he kept like pushing her to the side, and after he begged her to move to Paris, and all of that, it was like, I was so annoyed. But anyways, a guy who there's nothing wrong with a man being ambitious and having goals. You don't want a man who's a loser, obviously. But if he has a balance between spending time with you and making you feel seen and loved, and he can tend to his work, that's a good that's a good green flag.
And guys who also like wait until they're in that place to date. Like guys who are aware of like, dude, I'm in my workaholic era right now. So I would really just be leaning on a woman as more of a booty call / like we're not spending quality time together. Like I get home at 7 p.m. every night. I gotta work out. I gotta, do all this stuff. I'm not relationship material right now.
Right now.
I would be treating as a woman as an afterthought. But so many men will love bomb you in the beginning and then act like you should have known all along that he wasn't going to pay you any attention because he's such a workaholic and he's so in his bag. Like that's crazy. That's using you as a appliance. Ultimately what they're trying to do. And like also saying no to his boss, like a lot of men, I talk about this all the time, they're very submissive and they have no idea how to say no to another man. They will say no to you on everything. They will say no to you on helping out around the house. They will say no on like being emotionally involved. They'll say no on being a good parent. But when their boss asks them or tells them that they have to stay late, their backbone completely disappears. They only have a backbone around women, and children, people that, who are in debt to them, quote unquote. But they're never going to say no to another man. If their boss is like, oh, you got to stay and work late, they're like, oh, yes, sir.
That's so true.
Even if he doesn't get overtime pay.
Yeah. And they won't look for another job either. So watch out for men like that.
Couldn't agree more. But yeah, so that's another part of the whole work-life balance that I put the green flag for. Because I always had men in my life who were able to prioritize both work and me. So I've never had that problem.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. Not that hard.
It's really not. So green flag number 10, has gone to therapy or willing to go. So a man that's willing to kind of put aside his ego for a second, if it's like in the middle of a fight in the relationship, and he's like, maybe I don't have all the answers, like, and you suggest therapy, he's like, yeah, well, maybe we should go to couples therapy or go to individual therapy, and like it could help us. Or he's just kind of willing to try it, or at least try it just once.
I mean, that's a low bar. At least try it just once. Like, it's crazy that we're asking for so little from men. Like, couples therapy, like if you're not communicating, if you're not like, that should be an obvious answer if y'all struggle with communication. It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that like emasculating for men.
It really shouldn't be, but it just is. Because therapy, I think, can really teach them how to, like I just said, put aside their ego, because they just don't know how to do that for themselves yet.
Yeah. There's nothing more than they hate more than that. Responsibility and accountability for their actions.
Yeah, which brings us to green flag number 11. He can admit fault. He listens to both sides and he can apologize. Kind of bare minimum, but it's
very underrated. Yeah.
And green flag 12 actually knows where the clit is or can ask what makes you feel good. Maybe that's another bare minimum thing, but again.
Oh my God. It should be.
You would think.
Sex is like very, prioritizes like, sex ends when the man finishes. It doesn't really end when the woman finishes, or maybe and we call it foreplay instead of just doing what the woman likes. Like We don't really call it
Absolutely.
foreplay whenever we go down on a man or whatnot, but it's called foreplay when he goes down on us. And like, why? Because it's still male-centered.
Right. Agree.
Yeah, it makes it like this extra thing you have to do. Like, oh, excuse me, I didn't realize. Like, why does a woman's pleasure not matter? It's so crazy. It's so crazy how many men will just willfully, or, they'll do that thing where they're like, oh, did you come?
Like, if you have to ask.
If you have to ask, you already know the answer.
Isn't that question the most annoying fucking? Oh my God, am I the only one? That's actually one of the videos I was working on. Was a man who refuses to go down on you, but expects you to go down on him. Absolute red flag. But I was working on the video about.
Keep working on it. I hope you post it.
That just made me think about it because I'm just like, I don't know, but okay, that's a whole other topic.
Terrible. Yeah.
Number 13, there's no ego to really cater to or walk around eggshells with. So like you're not having to constantly apologize for the littlest things.
This is the final boss for men. This is the hardest thing for them to eradicate. So.
I agree. Stroking egos and being careful not to bruise the ego all the time. Draining.
It's an exhausting routine to have. And just, that's also another sign that you're with a narcissist. If you're feeling constantly drained and having to apologize for the littlest things, taking up space.
Definitely.
Or just like asking for the bare minimum. So yeah, brings us to green flag 14. You can put him down as an emergency contact because he is reliable, responsible, and dependable.
Oh, I've heard some horror stories about this one. I was just reading something on Reddit about how a girl just got straight up abandoned by her boyfriend. Like he just wouldn't come visit her. He kept telling her he would, but then he just didn't, which is worse.
Was she pregnant or something? Or I hear a lot of those stories. Women are abandoned in the hospital while they're like giving birth or they're having some kind of a complication and the guys just don't show up or they don't care. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, well, damn, I was at work and then I wanted to go home and take a nap. Like, God, am I such a horrible person?
Yes,
or they'll be like,
you're useless. Yes.
Or they'll be like, my wife like gave birth and stuff and that hospital room bed was so uncomfortable. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I had to sleep on. Like
everything is about them. They don't care about you.
Yeah, they're not giving us any attention. I wasn't getting enough attention.
Like these men should be sent to Mars. Let's not colonize it.
No, I don't even think they should be sent to Mars.
There.
I think they should be sent to fucking, I don't know. Mars is too good for them.
To a black hole.
Exactly. A black hole is perfect.
Yeah, green flag 15. Enjoys the holidays, including Valentine's. Like Valentine's is not a big deal. And in fact, he looks forward to it every year. And Christmas too.
Loves to spoil you.
Yes.
Loves giving gifts.
There's nothing worse than a man who will blow anything off that has to do with doing something for his woman.
Yes. Oh, it's a Hallmark holiday.
Yeah.
It's invented to sell cards and crap. I hate Valentine's Day. I'm not going to lie. I very purposefully do not celebrate it. But that's like the one holiday. Like on every other holiday, my husband shows up because he knows it's important and because he wants to.
Absolutely.
Like he's always been like thoughtful in that way. So yeah. Definitely don't fall for that whole it's a Hallmark holiday thing. That's just a low effort, dusty man.
It is.
Who doesn't like you.
And he doesn't want to have to spend money. Even if you don't like birthday, anniversary, Christmas, it could be something else. Because I don't care for Valentine's Day either. But it's just the point that they will come up with excuses. That's the issue.
Green flag 16. He can come to you as an adult first to have difficult conversations. Doesn't talk behind your back. Or talk badly to friends or family before talking to just you, or even Reddit at this point.
Right.
Relationship problems stay inside the relationship.
Oh, I've dealt with that before. The
Really?
bad side of that. Oh, yeah. Typically after you break up with someone and they have to make themselves feel like the victim and you're the bad guy. I've been through that.
Oh.
And I've also been through where guys would like go have conversations with their friends or their uncle or their dad, except you when you're the one who has the issue. Yeah, I've definitely been through that for sure. And for me, it's an automatic turnoff. Like once I know that I can't talk to you, like I lose interest. It's like I don't look at you as a safe space. The moment I don't see you as a safe space, I'm literally, the relationship is over. Even if I don't end it in that exact moment, I'm working on ending it. Like I'm literally actively about to be out of this.
Absolutely.
I'm definitely thinking about a situation when I was 22. One guy in particular. I'm like, once I knew I couldn't talk, he was telling everybody everything that was going on except me. And I'm like, I'm the person that you're in a relationship with. But it goes to show that a lot of it, it goes back to when a lot of men listen to other men over women. Even if y'all are saying the exact same thing, they won't listen to the woman. But if a guy can say the exact same thing and they're, oh, well, he said, oh my God, when I tell y'all that used to piss me off so bad.
Yeah.
So take it from me. If a man is doing that, he doesn't value you. He doesn't see you as human. And he's going to always put the opinions of men over you. And eventually you'll get tired of that if you stick around and deal with it. I didn't, but.
And good for you. I mean, nobody should have to deal with that. Like, that is crazy. That just shows that a person does not care about you and they just care about like making themselves look a certain way.
Yep.
Number 17, he's not afraid to cry in front of other men, specifically that part. Because of course you can cry in front of women. Like, women aren't going to be the ones to like judge you as harshly and call you a pussy or things like that.
For sure. Just men that are not afraid to express emotion, anything other than like anger or violence.
Oh, I know.
Like, let's mix it up a little.
Yeah.
Number 18, every major decision is made transparent with you, doesn't go behind your back to fuck you out of a lease or make big decisions on your behalf.
Oh my God. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you're in the hospital bed and you just gave birth and you're like passed out and the doctor asks you, should I add an extra stitch? Wink, wink.
Oh God.
Like, do you trust this man?
Jail if he
They still
says
do that,
yes.
by the
Yeah,
way.
I know.
Yeah.
They do.
They sure do.
It's called the husband stitch. If y'all are curious about it, go Google that
And
and
some
y'all will see what it
doctors
is.
will
We'll
do it without permission.
without even, yep.
So you need a husband who not only will not say yes to that, but will also advocate for you. Because I know a lot of women, and this goes especially double, triple for Black women, unfortunately, in healthcare. If you're going to have a man while you're bringing a child into this world, it needs to be a man who can advocate for you. Because it really doesn't matter, like even what tax bracket you're in. Serena Williams experienced like medical gaslighting and neglect, and her husband had to speak up for her. I know another Black woman who gave birth and had a cesarean and was in so much pain because they only gave her or told her to take ibuprofen, and they didn't not want to give her pain meds at all.
Yeah.
For the fact that she was torn open. I don't know if y'all have ever seen a cesarean, but they tear you.
Yeah.
They're not just cutting, they're not just slicing. They have to tear. It takes two people to tear your stomach in half and then take that baby out. And they did not want to give her pain medicine. But when her white man husband called and gave them a piece of his mind, she had a prescription on the way. So not only should you be able to trust a man to like not do something harmful to you, like not screw you over, he should also be of the mindset of like, how can I advocate for her in a medical setting as well if she's not being, and I know of, this doesn't just go for Black women. I know a white woman who died also, and her husband tried to advocate for her, and it was too late by the time that he did. So
horrible.
Died of sepsis right after giving birth. So all of these things you have to consider, because the world, this is why we hold men to like such a high standard, because the world is trying to kill you as a woman and they don't care. And I'm not saying that, I'm not joking. Like, they just don't care. One way or another, they don't care how you die, if you die, how you get hurt, harmed, whatever. Men get pain meds for a vasectomy, and before, after, all that stuff, everything gets numbed, and women have to just raw dog it through like IUD insertions and removals and abortions.
And kidney stones.
Yeah. So yeah, men have to go out of their way. I'm sorry. But if you want to be in the presence of a woman, you have to understand that she is oppressed by a lot of our institutions.
Yep.
And so you're going to have to go out of your way, not just do the bare minimum, not just, a lot of men are like, well, I don't beat you. I don't yell at you. I don't hit you. Like, that's not enough.
Couldn't agree more. Number 19, when he's angry, he can express it nonviolently or with maturity. In other words, his anger doesn't make you scared or trigger fight or flight in you.
That's very important.
Another one of those final boss ones. This will be a very evolved man.
Absolutely. That's almost, I'm not going to say it's impossible to find, but that is very hard to find, in my opinion. But they're out there.
They are.
For most women, our central nervous system is more like fear, like not Like our fear response is like freeze or fawn instead of fight or flight. Because when those kinds of studies were done, it still only included men and didn't necessarily include women. But when they finally did include women, they found that ours was different. Our response was like freeze or like placate and fawn. Like when we're terrified and like let's say a man is like not leaving us alone, like sometimes our reaction is just to kind of say, like thanks, or like be as sweet as possible in hopes that this man's not going to like retaliate and kill you with a hammer
Oh
in
my
his
God,
back pocket or
absolutely.
something.
That's so
Absolutely.
true.
Absolutely.
But men take that as like an invitation, or they question in the comment, well, why are you being so nice? And it's like, because they fucking kill us, dude.
You have
They
to
kill us for
choose.
less.
Yeah, you have to choose. Is it going to be your life at this point, or is it going to be like being able to land like a cool insult? Like that's the choice. It's like, yeah, I could tell this man off, or I could risk my life to do so.
Number 20, quick to call out injustice, unfairness, misogyny, or other bullshit. He has a healthy, distrust in authority.
Yep, I agree.
21, does what he says he will do, holds himself and his friends accountable, has high standards. Like this displays a lot of integrity or decent moral compass.
This one is so good.
It is. It goes back to when she said he does what he says he's going to do. That goes back to his words and his actions matching.
Yeah, I was about to say, just like you called it in the beginning, Sovereign.
Yeah.
The words and actions have to match.
If they don't match, it's bullshit. Yeah. Just know, and don't waste your time, and don't sit there and try to justify and say, well, but nope. His words and his actions have to match. If they don't match, he's most likely playing, lying, manipulating you, whatever. It's not a good situation. Proceed with caution, but I would just say, get the hell out of there.
Yeah, because he's just going to keep pushing it. And the more that you sort of like let him get away with it, you're going to get used to it. And like, it just snowballs from there.
It does. It never gets better.
You. Never gets better.
The more women let men get away with stuff, the worse it's going to get, because you're sticking around. And when you stick around, you're rewarding him for bad behavior, basically.
Yep.
So why would a man change if he knows that you're not going to leave? You're going to keep giving him whatever it is he wants. So change for what? That's why they don't change until you leave and you're done. You notice that's, unfortunately, when you deal with men, that's what you have to do in order to see change. You have to actually leave. That's the fucked up part. I know that sounds terrible because you want to teach a man a lesson and hope, hope that he gets it and you still want to be there. But no, they will cherish what's important to them. And if they're not cherishing it, then it's not important to them. They see you as replaceable or a placeholder or whatever they got going on. But you just have to know that their words and actions have to match at all times, period. Don't let them get away with the, I'm human, and all that stuff. No, you can be human and still be decent and still make sure your words and your actions match. Like, And
in fact, I think some men view it as an accomplishment when they can get 1 or 2 or 3 of these things over on you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And just have you, sort of accept it. Like
they go back and brag about that stuff to their friends.
Literally.
Yeah.
I was a bartender for a long time. And the amount of times I've heard that from men about how like, my wife is really mad at me, so she kicked me out. But in an hour or two, look, watch, she's going to call me. And actually, he was right. She did call him.
That's crazy.
That's how he knows.
Crazy work.
He's got her trained well. Don't let a man train you like that.
Whoever has the power wins. That's how that goes, unfortunately.
But I especially like when they can also hold their friends accountable to like, you said you were going to do this. So like, why aren't you blah, blah, blah. Like that.
100%.
That seems,
Not
like
worried
that
about male approval too. I don't know if that's one of the flags, but that was a huge one for me with my husband.
Huge. Just
never being able to like argue openly with other men in public, like call them out on bullshit, be like, no, that's wrong. I don't agree with that. Like I remember when my husband and I were going to church and a lot of the men had this like mindset that women should be below men, like the complementarian mindset. And he would argue with anybody and everybody about it all day, every day. Pastor, Bible study leader, random guy, didn't matter. He would be like, that's wrong. I don't believe in that. I would never treat my wife like that. I would never want to be the one that has the last word just arbitrarily. Like,
right.
I married her because she has a brain of her own and I want to know what's in it. Like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? And just calling out men on like casual misogyny too, like all of that. That's a good man. Like, that's a good man. A man, ultimately, to me too. And I have like a couple big ones I'll add at the end that are just big for me, but this is one of the bigger ones. Like, that does not fall victim to peer pressure from other men. Huge.
It's very huge. I can't stand a man that other
folds
guys
for his homeboys.
Yeah, like what?
Ew.
That's so just
gross.
Creepy.
Especially like to be even valuing, you know, like your homeboys too. It's always the worst people too.
I know.
That they'll fold for. Like you know who these people are. You don't respect them. But God forbid they make fun of you for being too nice to a woman, a child, or an animal and call you a simp. You'll do anything in your power to like convince them otherwise.
Right.
What? That's so stupid.
It's sad too.
Anything to like even losing your girlfriend or your wife, like they don't care. It's just fucking.
Number 22. This one's like a personal pet peeve of mine, but I figured I'd include it. He doesn't weigh in with his male opinions in every single goddamn conversation, but especially conversations about feminism. He knows his place is not in feminist discussions unless specifically asked. That's a real ally.
100,000%. And when he does make content like that, he's speaking to other men. He's not over here trying to tell women what's right and wrong about feminism, what the men are going to like about how we're doing things, what men are not going to like about how we're doing things. You know, check out The Public Offender on YouTube, all that. He speaks to men. He's not over here trying to like, you know, find good graces with women and have women pat him on the back and be like, oh, you know, yeah. He talks directly to men. That's what you should be doing. If you're a man that wants to participate in feminism, discussions about feminism, speak to your fellow men.
Number 23, he can tell you why he wants to marry you intentionally with specific reasons and will not make you wait long at all because he is afraid someone else will take you away. Yeah. Not to be confused by love bombing.
Yes. So proposal within 3 weeks, bad. Bad. Okay.
Bad
Any
dog.
man who's trying to propose to you within that short amount of time has something to gain from you. And I think as you get older too, it's good to take the time to vet these situations too. I know, Sovereign, you're like, I wouldn't get engaged with somebody, you know, after like a year or something. Like, I completely understand that, especially like when it's the woman that wants to wait and the man is eager to propose. I'm totally cool with that. You know, where you're just like, you know what, like I'll be ready at some point, and the man is like, okay, I'm ready now, but I'll wait for you. Like, that's good. That's fine. But yes, definitely there's like a window of time where it's way too soon and you should view it as a huge red flag. But also, if you're waiting like 5 years and it's like not even coming up, I would say anything past 2 years if it's not coming up. It's not going to happen with him. And that's fine. You can also date just to date. You know what I mean? Like, marriage does not have to be the end goal.
I don't plan on ever getting married.
Yeah. I think it's perfectly fine. Like at some point you become like so independent, you know what I mean? Like, and it's hard to like, there's just so much legal stuff that it's just literally easier to keep everything separate as is. And I completely understand that. Yeah. Like that, you know, I credit a lot of like my getting married with just the kind of religion we grew up in, like the pressure on that. And I'm so happy that it worked out. But that wasn't my plan. Like, my plan was to be single well into like my 30s and 40s maybe. And at that point, I would have never married anybody. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, it's easy. Like you said, it's easier to just be separate and live our best lives together. And then we both got our own house. And, you know,
love that for you guys. Absolutely. There's just like certain pros and cons to each. And I think there's more pros, especially as a woman. You know, a lot of men like to say that women marriage trap them or whatever. As a woman, it's actually in your best interest. You know, if you have your own house, put savings account, possessions, all that, it's in your best interest.
Number 24. He has a healthy amount of fear of you or a fear of losing you. That's a male sign of respect.
Yeah, healthy amount of fear is the key.
Or just like disappointing you or just looking like a, you know, like A fear of like sort of just like not measuring up to the kind of person that he thinks you are. And I was going to throw this into like the one previous to this, but he should also have reasons for marrying you that have nothing to do with what you do for him.
Oh, yeah.
And just have everything to do about who you are and why he respects you, why he admires you, why you make him want to be a better person, all of that.
I think that was on our red flags thing too.
Yeah,
That like when
for
he,
sure.
if you ask him
Yeah.
why he likes you and his reasons are just like what you do in service of him and not like about you as a person.
I saw a girl talking about on TikTok how her boyfriend made her a jar of like love notes, like reasons why he loves her. And she was so excited to open it until she read them. And all of them were like stuff that she does for him or to make his life easier. And she was just heartbroken. That made me so sad.
Did she break up with him after that?
Oh God, I don't know. She probably made a video defending him if I know the pattern.
Right, I know, right?
Unfortunately.
So true. But that would just turn me off because like that just reminds me too much of like what a little 10-year-old son would make for his mommy.
Too. That too. Especially if they're not thoughtful. Yeah, like, I like the way you make my hot dog. Like, just, no. You make me dinner every day.
Not
you
hot
love
dog.
me.
Make me chicken nuggets.
Out of all things you could say.
I don't know.
But usually men with like mommy issues or like mommy complex things are the easiest ones to kind of like bring, like snap back into place or into reality. Like when they upset you or do something bad, like he is scared of like that mommy cold shoulder and just like that look of disappointment on your face. Like they hate that shit.
Mm-hmm.
They squirm under that
you're
pressure.
You're going deep with this one. You're reading them a little bit.
We should explore
like that's
that.
actually one of the best ways to like exact a consequence on men.
Yeah.
Because men don't care if like you do or don't sleep with them on occasion. Like especially if you're married, like they don't give a shit because like they know like a week later things might change. So like the only way to like really get under their skin is to like do what their mom does.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Or just like the silent treatment.
Yeah.
Cold mommies are my role model.
Absolutely.
Same here.
Yeah. Maintain your leverage, ladies. Never let a man think, that he's too safe. You know what I mean? He's never safe.
Yep.
He's never safe. And even look at like Giselle and Tom Brady, right? People would have been so quick to say, oh, but it's his value that's increased with age. Man, age like fine wine, da-da-da-da-da. The woman is already pregnant. She's already moved on with her fucking life so fast. And I know there was a line of men out the door.
Of course.
When those divorce papers, the ink hadn't even dried on her signature. And I know there was a line of men out the door because she's dating, a high value man. She's dating somebody that's rich, that can take care of her. She's already pregnant. And it's like the men would have said she's the washed up one that nobody's going to want with all of her kids. Tom Brady's ex-wife, da-da-da. Look who's moved on first. Look who's more in demand.
She left that relationship mentally and emotionally before she did physically, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I love her for standing on business. I love her for that. She said, oh, you're not going to retire now? Then I guess I won't be married to you anymore.
I'll retire our
because
marriage.
we talked about it. Yep. Yes. And she sure did. And good for her.
25. Has healthy coping mechanisms to negative emotions and experiences like watching cartoons or comedy after a bad day at work as an example. This shows the ability to recover from personal setbacks. Like most men's like knee-jerk reaction to having a bad day at work would probably be to go to the bar and have a beer or go to like Hooters or some shit. But if this man's reaction is to just go home and watch like Adventure Time and like sit on the couch with a hoodie or something, like that seems a lot healthier compared to the alternative.
That's so true. You would just prefer that in general. Like I know when he gets upset, he's just gonna go, watch the Discovery Channel
Soothe
or whatever.
himself.
He knows how to self-soothe. He has some level of emotional intelligence or whatever.
So true.
I would love that.
Self-soothing doesn't harm himself or others.
Right.
This goes into number 20. Look at this. 26. He is a leader among his friends. They look up to him or ask for advice. Very popular at his job. Very skillful in group conversations or social settings, and personable or likable to everyone in the room, and remains modest about his self-confidence. Number 27, he's easygoing nature. He isn't hypercritical of others or himself. He's not quick to anger because he understands to never attribute to malice what can be attributed to ignorance.
I love this one. And yeah, these next few kind of all go together. So like feel free to kind of go through them. I want to say like up until 30, and then maybe we can banter about all of them because I feel like all these just kind of go together really well.
28, high impulse control, shows signs of self-awareness and discipline.
That's huge.
And then 29, he can diffuse a conflict quickly and easily by having empathy for others or just knowing when to pick his battles, knows when to kill with kindness or show force, usually as a last resort. And then 30, isn't afraid to ask questions, ask for directions, or admit when he doesn't understand something. He doesn't have an inferiority complex or a fear of looking stupid.
And my quick commentary on all of those is this is how women are expected to act every single day. This is nothing special. Men are given a pass on acting like toddlers way too often, resorting only to anger, only to violence, only to like short-sighted, like anger-based solutions to things. Meanwhile, they expect women to do all of these things that you just read off, Gwen, like being easygoing, not quick to anger, have good impulse control, can diffuse conflict quickly and easily, not be afraid to ask questions. All of those things are just the bare fucking minimum for a woman out in public. Women are never allowed to act the way that men act, prone to anger, quick to violence, quick to like, taking everything personal and, starting feuds with people. So mind you, this is not, this is just the bare minimum. At the end of the day, it seems like all these things are very highly emotionally intelligent for men, and they are, but that's just because they are not expected to act like us women.
You know what you made me think about when you said
What?
The Venn diagram between men's behavior and a toddler is almost a perfect circle.
It's almost a perfect circle.
Literally.
It really is. It really is.
Oh.
And if I could just read just one more. 31, he was a team captain or has been responsible for large groups of people if he's a manager for some company and his underlings actually like him.
Spot on.
Yeah. I think it shows his level of leadership. That type of guy would be able to lead without saying, I need you to follow me. I want to lead.
Yeah, I like submissive women.
Yeah, like he would be the guy that you would just naturally want to, I guess, follow behind or whatever, or listen to, if you will, because he exhibits those traits. It's just naturally in him, but he would never have to say it.
And this is very rare for men. So once again, like, if your man is like the ringleader of like some local hooligans, like that's not a green flag, If he can organize other men to like go and commit crimes.
Right. Nothing sinister. Not like a drug lord or anything.
No, but like it's especially really hot though if a man is like a coach of a little league's baseball team and like all those little kids like actually like him and come up to him and hug him and he knows them all by names and he can describe their personalities to you. Like it's so sweet.
Yeah, or just like when he likes his little nieces and nephews, like, I don't know. It like shows up to their like quote unquote boring events, like their like T-ball games and stuff, like where they're not getting any recognition for it. They're just sitting in the bleachers cheering on a little kid.
Right.
Just because they know it means a lot. Like that's all really good stuff.
Well, that's our list, guys. Sorry, it's shorter than our red flags list, but
no, it was great.
We'll be adding more.
I think this was so good. And yeah, Gwen, thank you so much for this list because I was working on some and I just have one to add that's like kind of a big one that a lot of men will fail on. But one of my bigger ones is that he's not pornified. He doesn't have porn eyes or porn brain or porn anything. Like just, yeah, stay away from men who are really into that stuff. They have a certain presence to them. There's just women.
We'll have to have like a whole episode on that.
I think we do. But yeah, that's just one thing to watch out for. Just not frequent consumer of like pornography. Like I just think that's a green flag when you can tell when a man is not like sitting there viewing you as a piece of meat or other women or I don't know, just whatever sick shit men do on the internet. Like I want no part of it.
And that seems so bare minimum, but
But 99% of men would not
reminds me of,
pass that.
No, but you're not wrong. And it's like, I read this one thing where this one university was trying to publish a study about what porn does to the brain, and they weren't able to find a control group because most men past the age of like, I think 14 or 15 had seen porn. So like there wasn't a way, to compare.
Oh, that's horrible.
I want to say like, I think it was like Harvard or something. It was like an acclaimed university. So we'll
dive in because you're
notes.
so right. You're so right. This needs its own episode, and we will do that. I don't even know if it's a green flag per se. It's just something that is very rare, and that if you find it, good for you. I don't know.
It's becoming increasingly rare with the generations.
It's just
like Gen Z men.
Unheard
of.
of.
God.
Yeah. I can't give this advice to younger women, honestly. Best you can hope for is like he'll quit for his own good. Because he'll realize his dick doesn't work.
Yeah, the death grip thing.
That's kind of your best case scenario, unfortunately. Anyways.
Well, that's... but stay tuned because we're going to have our mailbag. And I wanted to say that we're going to have more episodes like this because we've received positive feedback on the red flags episode. And so I have since been adding more to it. And I'd love to share with you guys.
Yes, we have some bonus red flags that will definitely be part of, or maybe just the whole segment of another episode. But they're real good. But thanks for sticking around, y'all. And we'll see you in the mailbag segment. All right, ladies, let's open the mailbag and see what we have in there. I also want to say that while we have been sort of leaning on this as our main segment, eventually we do plan to bring in other segments. We heard you on the film review segment. We're working on that. We're working on maybe some Reddit story type segments. And if y'all have any other ideas for segments that we could do, we are very much open to it. So please leave that feedback in the Patreon. All right, we have a question all the way from France today. So we are reaching deep into the mailbag. And she says, hello, ladies.
From France?
From France, correct.
Nice.
Yeah, I know.
Is it bonjour?
What's up?
Yeah, it's bonjour.
Hello, ladies. First of all, thank you for your fabulous podcast. Thank you. You talked about rom-coms versus the need to decenter men and not fall for what those movies are selling, which is not real anyways. I was wondering what your thoughts on dark romance, stuff filled with alpha males, submissive women fantasies, and wolf pack hierarchy targeted for female readers. Do you see a rise and impact of that type of literature in the light of the rise of Christian national values? Hugs from France. So our producer did some footwork on this one, did some legwork on this one, and we have some statistics. So 83% of romance authors are women. 82% of romance readers are women. In 2021, romance accounted for almost 1/5 of all sales of adult fiction. Another organization found that between 2021 and 2022, sales of print romance books spiked by 40%, more than any other genre. The organization credited the growth to Book Talk. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Book Talk. But
I've heard of Book Talk, unfortunately.
And then there was some quotes on like why dark romance books are so appealing to their readers. And it's basically like the adrenaline rush. There's a difference also in between like how men and women receive this kind of stuff. So young female readers often interpret such content through a lens of awareness, and they are able to acknowledge the troubling dynamics while recognizing their fictional nature. So women don't take this stuff literally, I guess is what that study's saying. And then women who read dark romance told Vice News that they found the blood-soaked, sex-crazed genre to be a cathartic escape from their real lives. Dark romance recognizes that life is difficult and dangerous, especially for women who face discrimination every day and are more likely to be killed by their intimate partner than by anybody else. But it still also reassures readers that there's still a way to survive, fall in love, and of course, have toe-curling sex. And it lets them fantasize about wielding so much twisted power over a man that they will be safe forever and no longer have to worry about the shackles of propriety. It's also kind of the same reason I feel like why women listen to like true crime podcasts.
Investigative discovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, my honest opinion, and for our French listener, je suis désolée, but this is just à mon avis, that I just think it's a porn addiction for women, but it's repackaged as like a book, like a romance novel. So that way it's like, oh, we're still reading. Like, it's not like we're watching videos of people, but you're reading about it and it's still doing like the same effect. And it's still like more or less a fantasy, sadly, of like a man who values women enough to have her come or whatever and like centers her pleasure. And like, that's something that you have to read about because it's so rare in like our common daily lives. Like, is that not sad? I'm sorry.
It's super sad. And I feel like there's so much to this, like the whole like 50 Shades of Grey thing. Like, I think there's also like a lot of passivity, especially in like Western men too, where women just can't even rely on men to be like passionate about them anymore. Like, that's just kind of a fantasy now too. Like, most men think that they're the prize and they think they're doing women a favor by being in relationships with them or like giving them their like sexual attention. And it's just a way for women to fantasize about men being better than they are or about toxic masculinity not being really toxic.
There was this one TikTok that went around of two girls at the bookstore. They were doing book reviews where they were pointing at this book and they were like, I heard in this book, the dog is doing back shots on her. And then they're like, that's disgusting.
Ew,
and then they
what?
pretend to grab it and put it in their bag.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Or it'll be something outrageous or like this one book, she has sex in shark-infested waters. That's sick. And then she puts it in her bag or whatever. Like, she's going to buy it. Like, just some like reviews like that or whatever, where I'm just like kind of side-eyeing this whole thing. And then it's even worse because I know one of my good friends actually likes books like these. And I still love her. But
I know.
I can't bring myself to enjoy things like that. I'm sorry. I'd rather just read books to enhance my daily life or like just add intelligence points into my XP or just like,
yeah.
In video game terms, yeah.
And I'm sure some of them are like well written, like without all of the sort of extra, like, I don't know, unnecessary violence and stuff like that. Because I also have friends who enjoy them, but it's like, it's just hard to find ones that are not smutty and unrealistic at the same time. And I don't know, I guess I've never really tried. Everything I see about the genre only makes me more concerned rather than curious. I guess women probably just want to believe that masculinity in some way, shape, or form will not be toxic for them. They want to believe that they're the exception. Like, they want to like fall in love with the man that everyone says is bad for them by every means. And they want to prove them all wrong because she's different and she's special. And she, you know, I feel like that was like the whole premise of like 50 Shades of Grey, is that this man just randomly picked this woman out of the crowd and was like, I'm going to treat you right. I hate everybody, but I'm going to treat you right. Yeah. And maybe they're trying to normalize that. It's a fantasy. Yeah, for sure. It's never going to happen.
It's definitely a fantasy because if they treat other people like shit, it's just a matter of time for you. It's not an if, it's when.
I agree 100%.
Our recommendation this week for all of you lovely listeners is we're all hoping that this will be available to y'all too, but just finding a way to support the victims of the wildfire. I'm sure there's like shelters and organizations that can be donated to, and we'll do our best to provide y'all with resources to do that. And producer Ryan has a list. So please, if you are able, I would even say if you're like thinking about doing a paid Patreon membership with us or whatever, like we would be happy if you defer it this month or whatever to the victims of the wildfires. Like, we want to help in any way that we can as well. So please give if you're able. We're all in this together. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully we'll be back with like a different segment next week. But in the meantime, please make sure that you subscribe, like, comment. Please leave us a 5-star review because that's been really helping boost us in the algorithm. And we really, really appreciate y'all. Once again, a shout out to the Patreon, everybody who's there, whether you're a paid member, free member, whether you've just, put money in the tip jar. Thank you so much. We really appreciate the community and just having everybody in there regardless of how much you're able to or willing to pay and support. We love just having the option to have everybody in one place. And hopefully we'll be engaging with that community a lot more now that Gwen is back, and she's been sort of our Patreon keeper, the keeper of the Patreon, the secrets, everything. Yeah. She does the blogs and stuff. And we would just love to see you all there. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope y'all have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.